Slamdown is sponsored by Body Slam and Jam and WWE Smack Talk. Welcome to Slamdown live stream. Today we normally have my co-host. I was speaking to him earlier and then suddenly the call dropped, so I don't know if his phone's died or if his internet's gone down. But as soon as he's back online, I will be calling him into the show and continuing to cover with him. But I forgot what I was going to say now. My brain's just gone totally blank. For me, in my opinion, I think Impact Wrestling is heading in the right direction. I personally believe it's better than what it was. I think the new ownership is working. There was a few little things here and there, which I'll cover when I start covering the Impact review. But overall, Impact looks healthy. It looks good. It looks in a good stead. I just wish the whole lawsuit with the Hardy thing would just be done and over with, because I think it shines a sort of a negative light on Impact. I'm not saying Impact are in the wrong, and I'm not saying Impact are in the right. We don't know the full details of what's going on. We've only seen one side on Twitter. But I think with some fans, it would put them off Impact. So I think the quicker this is done and dealt with and out the way with, the better. But I'm not going to be covering the Hardy situation anymore. The next time I will talk about it is when we get more news, when it's in the courts or whatever's going to happen. Then I will not go into more detail, but sort of give an update on it. At the minute, it's just Rebby Hardy posting loads of stuff on Twitter, and I really, in the nicest way, can't be arsed with it. It's just, if you want to keep things professional, the better thing's not to post it all over Twitter, and it just, yeah. But we'll just have to wait and see what the end outcome is on that, and just hopefully she won't say any more on Twitter and blasting each and all this. It's childish, and to bring the T-shirt out like that with "fuck the owl" is just pathetic, in my opinion. I think it's I can't think of any words to describe how pathetic it really is. One thing I will cover, I can't say people don't know about it. It's been all over the thing, and I covered it in Slamdown Views, what I thought about the whole league thing. But the only reason I mention it is Ali's floating about. It's going around the ring that Ali is being hacked. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there with that. It's just ridiculous that someone would do something like that. It's just, Yeah. I don't want to cover too much into it. You know, if you want to get my opinion on it, watch the show Slam Down Views, which I did before this show, where I covered about it. What I'm going to do, because I thought he'd be back by now, is I'll start reviewing Impact, and then we'll get his side when if his connection comes back. So we saw Alberto El Patron open Impact Wrestling to address the controversy about last week's world title match. He came out and said he's going to prove that he deserves the title and that he was being forced to relinquish the title. So he's in the middle of the ring. He calls out Lashley, but EC3 comes out instead. EC3 proposes a number one contender match between himself and El Patron. El Patron said he was already promised a world title rematch against Lashley and declines. EC3 and El Patron exchange insults and breaks out into a brawl in the Impact Zone. El Patron accepts EC3's challenge and the match will happen later tonight. I like the way this is done. I was very worried that it was going to be a big push on El Patron. I thought they were just going to put him in a rematch, he wins the title, and go in the direction that I didn't want it to. But I'm happier the way it's played out, that they're doing the EC3 with him. I can see when that title match happens that EC3 will get involved. I'm trying not to say too much because I haven't got onto the match, but I like the way it's heading. I think it was booked correctly. You know, even from the start of the show, you could see the change. The only thing I didn't like was the way they keep flicking back to what happened last week. I think it was overdone. There was too much emphasis on this happened last week, this happened last week. It took a lot away from the show. It took a lot of that space could be used for matches. That is the only downfall for me on that. It felt like it was more, they were recapping everything, and they don't need to do that. You know, they've got their YouTube channel. They've got that 60 seconds results thing. They don't need to keep throwing what happened last week. I think it was done way too much, and it actually took away from the show, in my opinion. But that's how I felt on that. After that, we saw the meeting backstage going with Bruce. I can never pronounce his name. Bruce Prichard, saying he was going to handle it regarding the tag team titles. Basically saying, you know, they don't know what happened in space and time. Now Decay hold the titles, which basically leading to a tournament that's going to happen for the tag team titles, which would be quite interesting. I quite like it that it's a tournament and they've not just kept it on Decay. You know, they were trying to pull away from that space and time part, away from that Hardy's part to move forward, which the company needs to do. They need to move forward. You know, what's happened in the past has happened in the past. You know, let's go, continue with a new direction, continue going forward and to see what arises. After that, we saw Eli Drake taking on Tyrus. And Tyrus taking on Laredo Kid and Gazer Jr. Really impressive match, actually. I liked seeing these two new talents. They were very sort of an X-Division style tag team. A lot like how the Motor City Guns were. And sort of like the Young Bucks with the high-flying type. I liked that it's got a sort of a mix in the tag team now. Because in the past, all tag teams were sort of the same. You know, it was the same sort of builds, always going against each other. You know, the only thing that really had character was Decay and Hardys, and that was about it. It was quite plain. Now it seems a lot more exciting, especially more reinvented, because the weakest part with Impact has always been the tag team in the X division. And it seems like now they're working on the tag team division. We'll probably see more happen in the X division and that grow. Extremely good match, to be honest. You know, it was surprising that Garza Jr. rolled up Drake out of nowhere to pick up the win for the team. So I'm wondering where that leaves Tyrus and Eli Drake. So that's making me want to tune into next week to find out what's going to happen there. After that match, we saw Quinn taking on Rhodes. It was Brandy's first singles match. But before the match even begun, Cody comes down to the ring with the Global Force Wrestling Next Gen Championship and says that the match isn't going to happen. Impact Wrestling won't be pimping the Rhodes family name any longer. Cody offers Quinn $45 to leave, but she declines. Cody criticises Moose for running from him, lays out a challenge for his Impact Grand Champion. Quite like the way they're doing this. You know, they're not overkilling it. I do like Cody as a heel. I think he performs better as a heel than a face. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. It cut to commercial, and when we came back from commercial, we saw Rosemary attacking Quinn. Rosemary lays her out with the red wedding, and it ends there. And then we go into EC3 and Albert L. Patron. Now, it was quite surprising that this wasn't a main event, and I felt it was better that it was not, because we always see big matches being the main event all the time. So I was quite happy with this. We really did see EC3 take it to El Patron, you know, hitting the 1%er twice. And, you know, what did it for EC3 is when he stood there with a steel chair, tempted to use it, and then threw it out. And then El Patron managed to get EC3 in the cross arm breaker, and EC3 tapped, which we haven't seen. It's the first time we've seen EC3 tap. But even after the match, El Patron pays respect to EC3 as a competitor, tells EC3 he gave him one of his best matches of his career, and they shake hands. So it was done very respectfully, which I quite liked. Backstage, we saw Mackenzie Mitchell interviewing Luster and Adam, otherwise known as Reno Scum. They say they're perfect combine of athleticism, I'm not even going to try it, and violence. So basically they were cutting a promo out on how good they are. We saw them use the oi, oi, oi. They remembered to look at the camera this time. Done a lot better than what it was done last week with the whole camera. They knew where they're looking. You believed in them characters. It was done perfectly. We saw EC3 freaking out backstage about the loss to El Patron, and we saw Bruce Prichard attempting to calm him down. After that, we saw Trevor Lee with Shane Helms taking on Suicide, Andrew Everett, and Brian Sutter. Now, I like Brian Sutter as a character. I like the way he's been portrayed. I don't like him in the X Division. I've said this in the past, and I've been very vocal about this. He's not an X Division guy. You know, put him for the Grand Championship. Push him for the main title. Put him in a tag team. Do not put him in the X Division. He's not the X Division type. He feels out of place. To me, that's how it feels. He feels out of place. But on a positive note, it was good to see Suicide. I think they've put the right guy under the mask. I'm looking forward to see what's going to happen next. I loved it when he did the suicide dive, where he basically was on the outside of the ropes, stood on the middle ropes, pointed two guns with his hands to his head and fell backwards. I thought that was brilliant. You know, typical suicide character. We saw Everett hitting the forearm on the apron, followed by running knees to suicide. And then we saw Sutter hit Lee with a power slam, Everett with a spine buster. But suicide catches him with a dropkick from the top rope. We did see a very huge Tower of Doom. We did see Laura Van Ness appears in the crowd, still in a wedding dress. Attacks Ali at ringside, and Sutter saves Ali from the attack, but gets caught with a running knee from Lee. On his way back in, Lee pins Sutter to retain the X Division Championship. And then we saw Sienna coming out, suggesting Braxton Sutter and Ali aren't going to live happily ever after. Brilliant match. I quite like the X Division match. It felt different. It was done differently. It was done, in my opinion, it was done a lot better than what it previously has been done. Couldn't take my eyes off it. Probably one of my favourite parts. Well, I'm not going to say it's my favourite part because my favourite part's coming up in a minute, but one of my favourite parts. We saw Bruce Prichard in the ring to address the tag team title situation. He says that even though Decay somehow ended up with the Impact Wrestling tag team titles, that they are not the champions. Bruce announced new champions will be crowned in 2 weeks. Decay, Reno Scum, Garza Jr. and Lara Kid interrupted, all laying claim to the tag team championship. A huge brawl breaks out. Abyss chokesams Luster of Reno Scum. Then some familiar music hits, and none other than LAX. My favourite tag team. I'm still a bit gutted that Hernandez isn't there, but they're still one of my favourite tag teams. I can't wait for the LAX top to come on the Impact store so I can buy it. That's how much of a big fan I am of LAX. You know, I'm so happy they've brought them back. It was good to see they've got Conan and Homicide. I nearly said Hernandez then. Them two together with a few new members, a few new additions. I'm happy that it's more of a stable than just a tag team. We saw Homicide hits Crazy Steve with the Gringo Killer, and LAX covering people in the ring with the flags. Conan cut an amazing promo, and I want the next show to hurry up. That's how drawn in I am to Impact Wrestling at the minute. I'm not drawn like this to SmackDown or Raw. Now, to me, Impact Wrestling looks amazing. The way everything's done is amazing. And to me, the show, Charles gave it a B-. To me, it's a B+. Definitely a B+. There's room for improvement on little bits here and there, but overall, it was brilliant. My only gripe is show too much of what we've seen last week, and I do not like Rockstar Spud as ring announcer. Do not like it. Don't think he sounds right or suits the part. That is my only gripe at the moment. But we did see a big tease as well with Who Is She? Now, I believe it's either going to be ODB or Karen Jarrett. It's going to be one of them two. That's what I believe. But whoever she is, she'll be here next week on Impact Wrestling. I want to cover a bit of news now. For people that don't know, Impact Wrestling is now got a deal with AAA. Now, the reason that this is interesting, the owner of AAA owns Lucha Underground. Impact used to try and do deals with Lucha Underground in the past. Never happened. And, you know, tensions got worse over the Hernandez scandal in the past. So, it looks like now there could be a possibility of Lucha Underground working with Impact Wrestling as well. And it means a lot of talent could come into the Impact Zone and vice versa. I'd love to see Pentagon Jr. in Impact Wrestling. Would love to see that. There's a lot of stars on that roster. Too many to mention, but there's a lot of guys that I'd love to see in Impact. And especially a lot of them would fit in the X Division. I think it's absolutely brilliant for Impact. I think there's going to be even more deals coming through. I think there's going to possibly be one with the UK. I think it might be WAW. I'm not going to say 100% on that because I have seen Jarrett retweet their stuff and vice versa, so I can't say 100% what's happening there, but everything looks positive. You know, I'm really excited to see what's coming. You know, the way news is dropping left, right and centre, I'm excited as an Impact fan, and I'm also excited because it has been announced. Hasn't been announced where or when it's going to happen, but there is a UK tour coming. It's official. Impact Wrestling will be back home in the UK. You know, it's got a big fan base here. You know, the Wembley Arena always sells out. You know, it didn't last time because, you know, let's be honest, Impact wasn't great. But before the dodgy period, the Wembley Arena used to sell out. And I think it will sell out again. And it was good to see the ratings gone up as well. I know it's not massively, but it's going up. It's going in the right direction. And I think over time, once people hear about what's going on down there, more people will tune in. And it's making me excited. I can't think of else what to talk about. Normally I'll have Charlie here and we'll go back to back on a few stuff, but I think something's either happened with his internet or something's happened because we was talking earlier, the call dropped and I can't get back through to him. So I don't know what's happened. So I'll keep checking to see if he's back or any messages, but I can't see anything at the minute. But because it's sort of coming to the end of the show because I've run out of things to talk about. But he will be back next week, and then we'll get to find out next week what's happened. But he is our permanent co-host now. I was so impressed with the first show we did with him on. That went so well, so he is the permanent co-host to the Impact Wrestling Review. But if there's anybody out there that's interested in being a co-host for the Raw Wrestling Review and SmackDown Wrestling Review, please let me know. I am looking for hosts to host NXT show, Lucha Underground show, and so on. If anybody's interested in doing this, please message me. We'll have a conversation on Skype and basically go from there. So if anybody's interested, PM me, and then we'll talk on Skype and see where it goes. So I want to say big thank you for everybody watching. We are back on air tomorrow with Raw Review, and hopefully sometime this week or next week I should be getting a brown bag. I know TNA have sent one out because one of them didn't come, so as soon as I get that I will be doing another brown bag unveiling special. So big thank you for everybody listening. It's been your host Ashley Friend, and we'll be back tomorrow 9 PM GMT with Raw Review.